Todd Blackledge played the position at Penn State, and of course with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's an analyst for ABC, ESPN. He joins us now. He's got TCU, Oklahoma. That will be on Saturday night on ABC. Todd, when you look at these quarterbacks, and you played the position, we knew Aaron Rodgers had talent at Cal. Like, there's certain guys you know have talent. What's the separation there that you go from, we think you can be good, to somebody can be a Hall of Fame caliber? What is it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that there's any one thing or a couple things that you can point to. You know, I think that certainly there are certain intangibles that are hard to measure that all positions have, but maybe particularly quarterbacks, you know, mental toughness, just the ability to process information quickly and take things that you see on film or in the practice field and transfer it and translate it to the game quickly. And obviously the physical talents are more easy to measure and to quantify, but the intangibles, I think, are what set guys apart, and you know, the ability to make plays and, you know, things that you do at that position that rallies the players around you, and not just the other 10 offensive players, the entire team. Those are the things that you don't know, or you can't put a number or a height or a weight or a measurement on until they actually do it.
Yeah, that's the hard part, and I mentioned this about NBA players, that you have to want to be great. Steph Curry is already great. You have to want to be greater. Kobe Bryant was great. He wanted to be greater. Bird, Jordan, all these guys, that willingness to say, even Brady. I mean, Brady wants to be greater at age 38, and, you know, that's something that you can't measure. Ryan Leaf didn't want to be great. I think he was satisfied with being just a quarterback in the NFL. So that intangible.
Not only can't measure it, you can't coach that either. So either a person has it or they don't. You're not going to somehow draw that out of a guy, you know, by being a quarterback whisperer or some kind of special coach. I mean, a guy has that or he doesn't.
I've been talking about Michigan State. Now, they had the fluke loss against Nebraska, but the fluke win against Michigan. But here they are. They're 9-1 going into Ohio State, and it feels like we keep talking about Ohio State when they beat Michigan State, then they beat Michigan, and then they beat Iowa in the Big Ten title game, and then they're back in the playoffs. Is it that simple here?
I don't think so, and I think that's a credit to Mark D'Antonio and his staff. They are a solid program. You know, they recruit to their program. They're physical. They don't normally beat themselves. I mean, you hear this all the time, whether you're talking about NFL teams or college teams, that a team takes on the personality of their coach. And, I mean, that is so true with Michigan State. I mean, Mark D'Antonio is a guy who crosses all his T's, dots all his I's. His teams are well prepared. They play physical. And so, no, I don't think it's a given. And I don't think Michigan State is as good as they were a year ago, particularly on defense. But there's still going to be a challenge. And Connor Cook, you know, he's one of those guys who's played a lot of ball, and he's had a lot of success. And if he gets hot and gets off to a good start, he can cause problems for any defense.
You got the spotlight on the Big 12, certainly with TCU and Oklahoma tomorrow night with you guys. I mentioned how great I thought Oklahoma is one of the more balanced teams in the country with offense and defensive line. Baker Mayfield has been really good. They got a running game. They got some athletes at wide receiver. Are they this year's Ohio State?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because when I was looking at them on the practice field yesterday and watching them on film this week, I mean, I'm getting that feeling with them, because, you know, the thing with Ohio State last year, we saw them early. They had the bad loss to Virginia Tech. Our crew covered them in that game. We covered them at the Penn State game in double overtime when they very easily could have lost. And then we saw them at the end against Alabama in the semifinal game. And that team got better and better each week and more well-rounded. And I think that's what's happening with this team, too. We had Oklahoma against Tennessee in the second week of the season. And you could tell that they, you know, Bob's always recruited well, and they always have the guys that look the part and the linemen that are better looking than the other teams in the Big 12 have for the most part. They had trouble the last few years guarding and covering some of the offenses in that conference. Well, they've gotten much better at that this year. I think they've played very sound defensively. And then Baker Mayfield, even in that Tennessee game, for 3.5 quarters, we thought they might replace him because they were doing nothing on offense. And then all of a sudden, the kid just caught fire and lit it up, and they won a game on the road in overtime that they probably had no business winning. and they've just gotten better and better. And he is a fun guy to watch, and he's one of those guys. You talk about the intangibles with him. His team loves him; they believe in him, and he has an uncanny ability to make plays, in similar style or similar way that Manziel did, where he can extend plays and do the unorthodox things and throw off his back foot and all those kind of things. But when you do that consistently, that's part of your DNA. That's part of who you are and how you play the position. And he's playing at an extremely high level right now. Todd
Blackledge from ABC. He's got the game coming up Saturday night. TCU against Oklahoma joining us, Dan Patrick Show. How's this scenario play out where all of a sudden college football is in an uproar and we have to go from 4 to 8 teams? Is there a scenario where if that happens, then we'll have controversy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that scenario is. I mean, I think there's always going to be discussion with that, and I don't know all the back deals and the way things are set up. My understanding was it can't change for an X number of years. I think they're set on the 4 for a period of time. I don't know if there's caveats in there to open that discussion again at a certain point, but you're always, it's not a perfect system. I think it worked great last year, but it's not always going to work great,
but did it work great though? Did it work great, Todd, because Ohio State proved to be the best team? What if Ohio State didn't get in last year?
Yeah, no, that's why it proved to be great, because they did hit it at the right time, and you could have made, at that point, it a legitimate argument for, Ohio State, Baylor, TCU. All of them had a legitimate argument there to be that 4th team. And the fact that Ohio State got it and played the way they did, made it seem right. And so that you can't ask that to happen or expect that to happen year in and year out. And this year there are a lot of teams. It's part of what makes it really exciting, though. I mean, that's why when the first college football playoff poll came out, people were, they want to start putting all these scenarios together. I'm like, just let the thing play out. Yeah. That's what makes our season so great. The month of November in college football is incredible, because now, even in the Big 12, we talk about our game, and TCU and Oklahoma huge, and Baylor and Oklahoma State playing the same day. It's just enormous games that have such huge ramifications, and I don't know. I just think it's great to let it play out, and we'll see where we are in 2 more weeks.
Well, also, remember Leonard Fournette was going to skip college football, and he'd already won the Heisman. I said, you don't win it in October. You're going to win the Heisman in November, and that's what we're looking at. I mean, Derrick Henry is winning the Heisman Trophy in November.
Yeah, and you know what? If Baker Mayfield plays great against TCU and goes to the Bedlam game against an undefeated Oklahoma State team, if they win and plays great again, you got to give him strong consideration as well. I mean, it's. I've always said, and this is one thing I do like about the College Football Playoff Committee and the way they wait and wait to evaluate. I've always said, and this is one of the reasons I quit being a voter in the AP, because I don't like preseason polls. I don't like any polls in September. I don't think you should start to rank or rate teams until October, and then I don't think you should talk about the Heisman until November. And so the fact that the College Football Playoff Committee waits until that point in the season to release their first rankings, I think it's smart. I think you have a better grasp of who the real teams are and just the makeup of teams at that point in the season.
Good to talk to you. Tell Holly Rowe we said hello. Have fun Saturday night, Todd.
All right, Dan. Good to be with you.
All right, Todd Blackledge, TCU, Oklahoma, tomorrow night at 8 Eastern on ABC.